renew it through the by sending the old one back. All right. Now you got to change that legal status. You got to do a name correction, i.e., you see I got my name in all caps to Akeem Barber. File a name because anything in all caps is considered a corporation or entity that they can do business with. You don't want to be seen like that. So what you do is file a name change petition in your county or a county that is easy to get this done. So it's not ideal all the time to go to your county because you might have jerks over there who give you problems. So people have been successful going into another county and getting it done. All right. And I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. You create a trust. You create a grantor trust. This trust will process 1041 recoupments. Will process the 1041 recoupments process. I could have wrote that a little differently. So the grantor trust is the trust that's going to be doing the 1041s to support the 1099s that you send into the IRS. Okay? So, and these are the trusts you're going to have. You're going to have a family trust. The grantor trust is the first one. The family trust. This trust will conduct all commerce. This is the trust that you're going to be putting your lights in, your bills in, all of these things so that you can turn around at 1099. Now, a lot of people, he's the one who does all of these things. At first 45, employed by someone else. That's not your one job. It's not, oh, I got to do all these things so I can take care of myself. That's not the one job. It's not it. See, out of here, I'm going to go hang out, come in as the social thing. Not a lot deserve in that vibration, that in that world, they feel just. So the Inspiration Sunday with Hakeem. Today is 11 November the 24th, 2024. Month is done. I mean, this week is a holiday week. It's a Thanksgiving week for many who celebrate Thanksgiving holiday. I hope all of you are traveling and planning on spending time with family. Travel safe, and I hope it all goes well. It should. As long as we stay in our place and not try to change people to think like we do. We have to keep in mind that, it's, turn the music down here. What we see in our thoughts is our own thoughts. How we see things and how we want to experience things is just that. It's our unique experience. The trouble with the world is we try to make people be the way we see them or what we think they should be in our mind. Said the audio is low. Hang on. How is that? Is that better? Let me turn this up. I know something was going on with my audio. DJ Beast Thunder said the audio is low, but I turned it up. How's that? Is that better? Let's see. Let's try this channel. How's that? That better? All right. All right. Sometimes it be just one person having issues, and then you think it's everybody, but I only got one person saying it's low. But anyway, I know some audio settings had changed up on me. I hadn't done anything. And I went in here, I had to reset some things. I don't know how it gets changed out on me like that. How it just switches up. But anyway, the ideas or the thoughts in our mind are just that, ours. And for us to assume or even try to make someone fit our narrow thinking, which it is narrow, much as we would love to believe that we have this expanded consciousness, this elevated thought process than others. Sometimes we get arrogant and we think like that. And we have to remind ourselves the amount of knowledge that I have personally at this age is a fraction. It's probably barely touching the surface of what knowledge that is yet to be gained or learned. So when we start to project what we have in our mind onto others, we have to stop and think. This is just my perspective. And if I really want to change the world, if I really want to make some drastic changes of the world, first I have to change myself. I have to be willing to learn. I have to be willing to go and do some research. I have to be willing to burn that midnight oil and stay up late and research things. Because when we really look at, I know at one point in my life, my knowledge was really based off what I got off the news, based off something what someone said, not something I went and researched and came up with a conclusion. And research is not just reading one book and then you got the answer. No, researching is getting opposing topics on that subject, as well as getting things that support your current belief, looking at it from all sides. So really, I remember when I had experience and realized that I didn't know everything that I thought I knew, when I had this big explosion in my mind that wait a minute, everything I don't really know a whole lot here. Everything is based off of what someone pushed in front of me and said, hey, this is the truth. I had to really, one night I was studying and I was actually looking at this site called The Reluctant Messenger. You know, I don't even remember how I came across this site, but it was like I was looking for something, then I stumbled upon this, and I started to read this story of this young student being taught by a master, and he was asking questions about the world, about religion, and the teacher was teaching him that all religions have truth. They're part of a bigger puzzle. None of them is all right and none of them is all wrong, right? And the perspective he was coming from and teaching, it really took me down this deep rabbit. Peace. What's up? It's Tuesday, February the 3rd, 2026. This is my mushroom coffee. I need it. Keep my mind alert. Peace, everybody. I hope everybody's doing good. Shoot, I keep saying 10 years I've been doing this. You know, I've actually been doing this 11 now. 11. Do y'all know that Hindsight Radio first show aired in February of 2015? 11 years ago. Yes. We had a good thing going. It was about 5 of us on the team. We had a good thing going. But just like old music groups, you get some people who get the big head and want to keep the spotlight, don't want to share it. So that's basically what happened. People arguing over who's better than the other. That's what happened to the old hindsight. We think about it. When we had that show, we had mass listeners. We had mass listeners. We had good listening. Well, Block Talk Radio is no more, so you can't go back and see the numbers. But we racked up listenership in the millions. And although some of the information was faulty, like discharge and things like that, especially discharge, I will hone in on that, and the super injunction, that was faulty information. And y'all know I corrected that. The super injunction was about the passport, and I corrected all of that and got that. We're so far past that point that I'm showing people how to connect their indigenous heritage, their American Indian heritage, get that recorded on the passport so that they can claim that. Now, somebody in the membership asked me, but sometimes I get a little irritated with these types of questions. But I'm gonna read it on the air. By the way, I should just show y'all the membership. Let me share the screen. I can get a good share. Make this bigger. So this is the membership. All kind of stuff. This is the classroom with all the different lessons in it. Credit repair files, IRS replay, template, the IRS audited notices, name change, American National Passport, IRS webinars, trust bundle, seminars, counter deed. It's only $40 a month. How to get the EIN without the SSN, church setup process, how to win in court. And this is like my research area where I have different things that you can look up. Not necessarily stuff that I teach, just information to look and research and cross reference. Now, what you see in here is not as much as I have. I have a lot of stuff to go in here, and I'm slowly getting it in there. Then I have Indian studies, things like that. How do I make what's going on with my thing? Let me see if I can get this to. Trying to make this so that it covers the whole screen. Let's see. There you go. That was it. That's how I got it get done. And so these are old archive books from 1857, just talking about indigenous culture and stuff like that. But that's the membership. But what I want to focus on right now is someone sent me a message in the, let's see, where is it? It's still up there. They were asking me what benefit it is to claim their nationality through the passport, get their indigenous passport process. Why is that a benefit? Does that stop me from paying taxes and stuff like that? And I basically said to them, I don't teach this process so you could not have to pay taxes. That could be a benefit of it, but I don't teach it for that. I teach it so that you can claim your true heritage, connect back to your real ancestors, not this African narrative that they've been painting and telling you were part of all of this time. That's what I teach it for. Now, Does it come with added benefits? Yes, it gets benefit. I've seen benefits with my daughter and myself when it came to school. So, yeah, there's a benefit, but I teach it so that you can connect to your ancestors. Be respectful of your own heritage. See, everybody wants some type of benefit. I wanna stop this. I want to. But if you're using that SSN that they gave you, you pretty much tied to taxes with that. If you don't know how to move with it. Oh, let's see. I'm trying to find. There was someone who left a message about affidavits, and that's the topic of today. Affidavits. And I responded to it. Let's see if I find it here. I was all up in here responding to all this stuff. Oh, this is it right here. It says, when using legal dictionaries like Black's Law Dictionary to help and aid in affidavits and such, is there a rule of thumb on using the most recent version or the oldest? Now, before I go into how I answered it, which is right here, I get where this person is coming from, because in this movement, everybody is honed in on affidavits. You should enter an affidavit, just throw an affidavit in there. Affidavit of fact. But affidavits are supposed to go in to support something, like a motion. Say if they want a motion for default judgment, motion for summary judgment, motion to dismiss. Affidavits are simple. Here it is. I'm going to read it here. Somebody answered, last I heard, 4th edition was supposed to be the most solid, but I also would like to know. And here's how I answered. Black's Law Dictionary is generally not required when drafting an affidavit. An affidavit is a sworn statement of facts based on the affiant's personal knowledge, not a legal argument or brief. Its purpose is to establish what you know to be true, not to interpret the law. Now, I've been in this movement a while, and I see people with affidavits trying to teach law and all of this. Unrebutted affidavit stands as truth. They want to teach everybody what they know about law in through their affidavit. An affidavit, and this is why a lot of people's paperwork get ignored. First of all, they're not reading all that crap you put. I've seen affidavits almost like a book. Affidavit should be no more than a page long, page and a half tops, depending on the circumstance. Because you're just stating mere facts. That's it. Hey, I'm such and such, and I'm competent to testify. And everything I state herein is a fact, baby. And then I tell the facts according to my firsthand knowledge. That's it. And then you get that notarized and you submit that. Let me go back. Because of that, affidavits do not rely on dictionary definitions to carry weight. Standing alone, an affidavit does not move a court. It becomes effective only when it supports a motion, pleading, or statutory procedure that authorizes a court to act. When a legal term must be addressed, the controlling authority is the statute itself, not a legal dictionary. Case in point, if I'm dealing with a statute, let's pull up a statute. Let's pull up the church one, the 508 thing, right? Somewhere in a lot of these statutes, there is a definition of terms. Let's see if I can find one. Let's see, let's do this. Without spending too much time on this, let's go here. Maybe we'll see some definitions in here. Can't find one just now. But in these codes, in these specific codes, they'll define what they mean. Let's see. There, right there. See, it says definitions. Commercial waterway transportation. The term commercial waterway transportation means any use of vessel on any inland or intracoastal waterway of the United States. So when they talk about commercial waterway transportation, that's what it means within the four corners, the walls of this particular code. You cannot go to Black's Law's dictionary and look at that definition and try to apply it to this code, because the codes define themselves. Okay? And that's the issue. People don't understand how the game is played. They're playing it the way they go to seminars and hear people tell them to play, not what the actual rules are saying. You go to that statute, okay, this is how they define it. This is what it means. This is how come you can go to the tax code and figure out whether you're responsible for taxes or not, because they define what a U.S. person is. And if you're not that, or a U.S. citizen, it could be U.S. person, U.S. citizen. They define what that means in that code, and you go look up that definition and you find out if you relate to that definition. And if you don't relate to that definition, you're not that definition, then you're not responsible for the taxes. If you are that, you are responsible for the taxes. The issue is everybody assumes that they're a U.S. person, and you assume it by way of you solidify your U.S. personship every time you get a job and you fill out the W-9, because on that sheet it specifically asks you that question. You certify. And speaking of affidavit, the W-9 is an affidavit stating your status. It's a status document. This is the instruction. It's a W-9. Right there, certification. You certify that you are U.S. signature of U.S. person. How come they didn't just put signature there? Because you're telling them, I am a U.S. citizen or other U.S. person defined below. And there's a definition in there. This is an affidavit. Because you're saying under penalties of perjury, I certify that. All of 1, 2, 3, 4 is true. And it says defined below. So where's U.S. person defined? Definition of U.S. person. I don't need Black's Law Dictionary for this. For federal tax purposes, you are considered a U.S. person if you are an individual who is a U.S. citizen or a U.S. resident alien. A partnership, corporation, company, or association created or organized in the United States or under the laws of the United States. Do y'all see that? Under the laws of the United States. Y'all remember when I told you about, what is that? (28 USC 1746). If executed without the United States, you have to say this. But a W-9, you are exercising within the United States, so you're saying under the laws of the United States. And then it says an estate other than a foreign estate or a domestic trust as defined by Regulation 301.7701-7. So in order to know what that means, you would have to, this is why this stuff takes time, because you would have to go through all of this to look this up, right? And look how simple I'm making this for you, right? Now, I'm just actually showing you how to research for real. So under this, a trust is a United States person if, and I read this a couple of years back, a court within the United States is able to exercise primary supervision over the administration of the trust, that's the court test, and one or more United States persons have the authority to control a substantial decision of the trust. So here's my thing to the person who asked me what the benefit of doing the indigenous process, to establish that you're not a United States person. And I know this person got a trust, and make sure your trust is foreign. Foreign doesn't mean you're in another country. Foreign is that it's out, anything outside of the jurisdiction of the United States is foreign. Each state is foreign to the United States. North Carolina is foreign to South Carolina. So if I start a business here and I want to do business in South Carolina, I got to go do what? Register my business as a foreign corporation. Right? I know I was talking about affidavits, but I'm through talking about affidavits, I'm helping y'all understand some things. Get off this kick. Affidavit of fact and all this stuff and just throwing stuff in there without controlling documents. What I mean by controlling documents, without a pleading motion to substantiate it. If I'm rebutting, somebody say I owe money, and I'm rebutting that with a fact, an affidavit stating I do not owe them, and state why I don't owe them. Now my affidavit competes with their affidavit. Now, since I'm the only one in any debt collector case that has firsthand knowledge of anything, the lawyer doesn't, and he's the only person showing up to court to defend these things. His client can never show up because it's a corporation. So it's what you call leveling the playing field. And in case you didn't know it, that's a legal thing. You can say, hey, I'm here to level all planes. Coincidentally, the person who initiates the case is a plaintiff. So you must level, because they're coming in as a corporation suing you, the individual, not the God-created being. They have no jurisdictional rights over you, but what you allow yourself to be in that courtroom, according to your staff. Now, since we on this domestic and foreign trust, one or more United States would have the authority to control a substantial decision of the trust. So if you're going to create your trust, you must be considered foreign in order for your trust not to be considered a domestic trust. A trust is a United States person for purpose of the Internal Revenue Code on any day that the trust meets both the court test and the controls test. For the purposes of the regulation of this chapter, the term domestic trust means a trust that is a United States person. The term foreign trust means any trust other than a domestic trust. This is why you do not register your trust into the county. Because the minute you do it, you just made it a United States person. I hear people talking about it all the time. And they try to argue, and then I pull these statutes out. Then they get quiet. It's telling you. Now, I don't know if y'all caught this. Number 2, it says a trust is a United States person for purposes of the United Internal Revenue Code on any day that the trust meets both the court test and the control test. So in order for it to be a United States person according to the Internal Revenue Code, it has to meet both court and control test. Matter of fact, let me do something. Somebody need to read this. Now, I ain't even gonna explain it to them, but they better. If they smart enough, they'll get what I'm saying. So if you having issues where they're trying to pull your trust in, and if it don't meet that test, they can't do anything. They have no jurisdiction over it. Because it must meet both. It said a trust is a United States person for purposes of the Internal Revenue Code on any day that the trust meets both the court test and the control test. They didn't say or. So it can be considered a domestic United States person on one hand, but for the Internal Revenue Code to have control or jurisdiction over it to tax it, it must meet both of those standards. Let me go back. When a legal term must be addressed, the controlling authority is a statute. That's what I was just trying to show y'all. You got to go to the statute and see how they define whatever it is you're working on. Not a legal dictionary. Courts apply the definition provided within the statute or its governing code section. If the statute defines a term, that definition controls. If it does not, courts look to legislative intent, case law, not competing dictionary editions. So basically what I'm saying, Black's Law Dictionary is useless in court. And in my experience, I have never looked to Black's Law Dictionary to win any of my cases. Never did it. And I've seen, Black's Law did, according to Black's Law, they ignore that bullshit because it's not a controlling book for them to use. As a rule of thumb, affidavits equal facts from personal knowledge, statutes definition, case law interpretation, dictionary secondary reference only. It's a mere reference. Using an older or newer edition of Black's Law Dictionary does not override statutory definition and is really decisive in affidavit practice. Okay. What I'm trying to say is study for yourself. Stop listening to these knuckleheads on the internet trying to tell y'all what to do. Y'all hear something great, and people just run for it without even verifying anything these people are saying. And I'm telling you, 99.9% of people out there got no real proof of what they're talking about. No real. Because the truth, listen, that scripture is real. let me tell y'all the scripture. Give me a second. Let me get one that's because I'm gonna end this on scripture. Let me share the screen. It says here, let me end it. Give me a second. Let me make some changes. Oh, there we go. All right. Right here, it says, enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide and the road broad that leads to destruction. Now, I watch these people that teach it, and they be having a lot of followers. But most of them, the people end up over here after they get used and abused. He said, so, and those who enter through it are many. So whenever you see a large crowd of people going towards something, be leery, be cautious. How narrow the gate and constricted the road that leads to life, and those who find it are few. I got a lot of clients, but it's nothing in compared to the ones that run off and go after the lies. And most of the and some of them deserve to get lied to, because what are they chasing really? They're chasing an easy way out of their bills. Anybody that sit there and teach y'all discharge, bills of exchange, and how you can do all these other methods, it appeals to people because they don't want to pay their bills. I got caught up. Then I woke up and said, wait a minute, what are you trying? You make lots of money. Just pay your bills. Just pay them. Just be happy and be thankful that you have bills to pay and live good. You know, I've had people, I wouldn't pay that much for this and that. No, I'm going to pay for what I want, how I want to live, with my comforts. I'm going to drive what I want to drive for my comforts. It's my business what I pay. Because I'm of the mindset I'm going to make that money to pay for it 10 times over. That's the way I think of it. I'm glad to pay it. I'm glad to take the fancy vacations or the good vacations with the family. I'm happy to do that. Now, just be careful who you're hooking up with, because hooking up with the wrong people can hurt you and damage your financial prosperity, your financial situation, being with the wrong people. There you have it, affidavits. They're just mere supporting documents. It states your facts, and it says what you know to be true according to your firsthand knowledge. All right? And then I just gave y'all domestic trust, showed y'all those laws. IRS, of course, you got to meet both those tests for them to have jurisdiction. All right. And I noticed it because I've seen IRS go after people with trust and try to connect, but what they be trying to do is get that person into those definitions of what I just read. the control test and the court test. See, once they get them to accept the U.S. person designation, and usually if they get a lawyer, they're a U.S. person. They got that. That's the court test. And then now they got them in the U.S. person test. But see, no one ever challenges it through that. What I just showed you, what I just told you, how to challenge. They come at you on your trust. Wait a minute. I don't have jurisdiction because this law says you must have both these and for y'all to come after me. Y'all need to go back and read that. This is why I set up churches and trust the way I do. A church is foreign. No filing requirement, mandatory exception. And if it controls a church trust, guess what happens? Integrated auxiliary, and that's all I'm going to say on that. All right, well, y'all have a good evening. I think I gave y'all a lot to talk about. Let's see who's in the chat. Peace. Peace back to you. Sons of the One True King. Peace. Enzliga says, peace, prosperity, and extreme wealth to all in the chat. What's up, Akeem? I trust you are doing well. I'm doing great. Doing great. I trust you're doing well. I Bolden. Hand clap. And Falcon L 555 is thanks, Chief. Thanks back to you. All right. Listen, I will go back and look at it and get and record that statue I read about the trust. Because I know people where they came after them, they trust, and they folded. They folded faster than a prostitute. See, it's interesting how people want to be on this move. But as soon as that government come a knocking, they knees start shaking. That tells me what their true faith is. Where their true faith is. They start yappity yap, yap, yap. And those of you who are listening, who are in cahoots working with the government, I know who you are. It's like what Jesus, what did Jesus do? With what's his name? The one who betrayed him. He the only one with the funny name. Everybody, all the good ones had the English names. You know, see how white folks do? They take all, they put their names in place for all of the good apostles. Than the one who betrayed him, Judas Iscariot. Called him Judas. They gave him a whole different country name. The bad one. Like Jesus said, you know, when Judas put his hand in the bowl with him, he said, it's the one who got his hand in here with me. Listen, some of y'all enemies, y'all looking them in the face every day. You talking them on the phone every day. They jealous. They can't wait for you to fall. But I tell you one thing. People could think that, but about me, but you'll fall before I do, and I won't because I'm not falling. You know why? Because I got God backing me, I got my ancestors backing me, and I read this stuff. I read it. I read it so much that sometimes I just like, what do I need to read next? Like, I got so much in my head. So, with that being said, peace, prosperity, extreme wealth to everyone. Y'all have a good night.